Hey everyone, Jim Branscombe from Cinemadness Void here, back again for another episode of In the Mouth of Cinemadness. Again, I don't know why I keep doing this, but this is a sub-series of the Cinemadness Void vlog where I talk about movies that had a huge impact on me. And the film I'm talking about today had a, I said huge impact. This one had a, atomic bomb level impact on me when I first saw it. It is Michele Soavi's Cemetery Man, aka DELLAMORTE DELLAMORE.
I don't know how the epidemic started. All I know is that some people, on the 7th night after their death, come back to life. I call them returners.
So for a lot of these, I have a, pretty good memory of when I first watched the movie or when I heard of it and why I sought it out. For Cemetery Man, I'm not exactly sure, but kind of going through my memory banks, I'm pretty sure my first exposure to Michele Soavi was through Dario Argento. Michele was Argento's longtime assistant director. He started out as a second assistant director behind Lamberto Bava on such films as Tenebrae, but Michele also directed Dario Argento's World of Horror, which was a documentary about Argento, which had lots of behind the scenes stuff that I think pretty much came out around the time Phenomena came out. And that was also the movie where I got to see a lot of uncut Argento stuff that I didn't really have the opportunity to until I started buying bootlegs, and then eventually Anchor Bay started putting him out on DVD here. But it was through that I discovered Michele as a director. I saw Stage Fright and Cemetery Man both around the same time because they were both available at my local video store. And I don't remember which one I watched first. It was probably Cemetery Man because at the time when I was really getting into horror movies, like zombie movies were my kind of go-to for the horror genre. And since Cemetery Man was a zombie movie, I probably drifted to that first. Which is not to say that I didn't love Stage Fright when I saw it, but point of reference is I was more of a zombie guy than a giallo guy, which I am now. What's interesting about Cemetery Man is that it was actually widely available on home video. I think it came out through Fox. And, it was a very easy VHS tape to be able to rent. My expectations before popping in the tape, kind of standard Italian zombie horror, there would be lots of gore, there'd be sex, all the stuff that reason why you get into cult films. Needless to say, my expectations were completely annihilated. Like, I was just completely in awe, blown away. I had never seen a movie like this. Like, it felt like this crazy emotional connection to it. And I had to immediately rewatch it. So I just rewound the tape and watched it again. The thing about Cemetery Man is there's a couple different ways you could look at it. Obviously, you can come at it as an Italian zombie film, which, it will meet your needs for that. But it was this deeper undercurrent of, dealing with life, death, love, sex, being in a dead-end job. All those things really, really just hit hard on me. And I was just, entranced by this movie. And like a lot of the movies, I would obsessively rewatch it just because I was just so enamored with just how powerful and sexy and violent and it just really spoke to me in a way that, a lot of horror films hadn't. I think the thing about DELLAMORTE DELLAMORE that connected with me the most is I love this undercurrent of, a lost soul trapped in a world. But there was just something about the way this movie played out and just how it just had this effect on me, and just this whole world of watching a man who's just hates what he does, but it's the only thing he can do. And he's just in this kind of surreal world where the dead come back, but when he meets anyone from the living side, he has less connection with them than the dead people. One of the other things I really love about this movie is just that esoteric kind of metaphysical mysticism that runs through it. And it's just a thing that I really like about movies that not a lot of people tap into, but this one just really, really just nails it. And it's visually stunning. The score is great. Everything about this movie is perfect to me. I consider this a perfect movie. So obviously one of my goals was to see this movie on the big screen, and I believe Exhumed Films, I don't remember the year, it was kind of early to mid 2000s, they actually did I think it was an Italian zombie all-nighter, or it might have been just a regular zombie all-nighter, but they played it on 35mm, and just being able to see it on celluloid on a big screen was just this immersive thing. It was, I'm in a room full of people, but I felt like this screening was just meant for me because that's how much it meant to see this movie on the big screen. Years later, when I moved to LA and had started Cinemadness Void, I was kind of tasked to do a kind of zombie comedy all-nighter. This was a marathon that was kind of loosely constructed of zombie comedy movies. It was, Reanimator, Evil Dead, Return of the Living Dead, Night of the Creeps, and Cemetery Man. And I just felt like that kind of format didn't do any of those movies justice. But now here we are in 2023, where Severin Films has just restored the movie, and just having the opportunity to be able to present it at Beyond Fest for a packed, sold-out crowd at the Aero Theater in Santa Monica is just this otherworldly feeling. And I really can't wait to just sit in the crowd and watch it with people who've seen it a lot and people who've never seen it before, because it's just this amazing, magical, mystical movie that once it goes through your eyeballs, it just infects your brain and it'll just never leave you. It's a movie that I will randomly think about or quote, or moments will just still come to my head just randomly, because that's how profound watching this movie is. And that's how moviegoing should be sometimes. Like, not every movie you should have this profound, life-altering, life-changing experience, but when you do see those movies, it changes your life. And seeing Cemetery Man, first on VHS, then on the big screen, and being able to present it on the big screen is just, it's a dream. So that wraps up this edition of In the Mouth of Cinemadness. Sound off the comments below if you've seen Cemetery Man. Do you remember the first time you saw it and what kind of effect it had on you? Because this is an ongoing discussion. Yes, I'm sharing my stories about how I connected with these movies, but I want to know how you connected too, because that is how cinephiles, cinemaniacs, and everyone, we all going to coalesce together and talk about how much we love movies. And I absolutely love this one. So until next time, see you in the void.
You know how things are. Life goes on.